Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Friends, before going into the details of the war, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. Please support by subscribing and turning on the notification bell. We are a strong community. The growing Ukraine refugee crisis. Europe is facing a growing Ukrainian refugee crisis this winter as countries struggle to house and pay for the almost 8 million refugees registered across the continent. Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine reshaped the map of Europe, led to tens of thousands of deaths and sparked an energy and economic crisis that is being felt around the world. It has also fueled the largest European refugee crisis since World War II, said Al Jazeera, with 7.7 million refugees from Ukraine registered across Europe since the war began, according to the United Nations. The numbers and impact on countries that have rushed to welcome those fleeing the war has far exceeded that of the last migrant crisis in 2015-16, with some EU member states like Poland and Germany now reportedly close to breaking point. What's happened to the refugees so far? 7 months on from the invasion, the 27 EU countries have accommodated these refugees to an extent they claimed impossible during the Syrian migrant crisis of 2015 and 2016, said The Washington Post, but temporary protection has been far from a golden ticket. Many refugees have had to move from place to place and have yet to secure employment. Within a refugee population consisting primarily of women and children, mothers with young kids say it's been especially hard to find time to seek job interviews or enroll in language lessons, said the paper. As with the migrant crisis of 2015-16, the problem has been exacerbated by the uneven distribution of refugees across the EU. The bloc has bickered for years over a fair refugee distribution scheme, said DW, comparing Poland and Germany's efforts to each host more than 1 million people from Ukraine with France, the EU's second-largest member in terms of population and GDP, which has taken in a little more than 100,000. As Russia intensifies its attacks on Ukrainian power stations, leaving many without heat and electricity ahead of the winter, European leaders are bracing themselves for a new wave of refugees that will put further strain on already stretched resources and services. Ukraine latest. Russia returns to Black Sea grain deal in abrupt U-turn. The Russian invasion of Ukraine that began on February 24 continues, with casualties rising on both sides. Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced Russia's annexation of 4 partially occupied Ukrainian regions following referendums that Western nations called a sham. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces are mounting a strong counteroffensive against Russian troops, reclaiming territory lost when Moscow launched its invasion. Ukraine has managed to withstand the Russian onslaught with the help of Western military aid, but President Volodymyr Zelensky regularly calls on the world to do more. For all our coverage, visit our Ukraine war page. Wednesday, November 2, Tokyo time, 7:30 p.m. Russia said on Wednesday it would renew participation in an agreement allowing Ukraine to export grain via the Black Sea, just 4 days after suspending its role in the deal. Moscow had pulled out on the weekend, saying it could not guarantee the safety of civilian ships crossing the Black Sea because of a drone attack on its fleet there. The Russian Federation considers that the guarantees received at the moment appear sufficient, and resumes the implementation of the agreement, the country's defense ministry said in a statement. 7:16 p.m. Russia will summon Britain's ambassador to Moscow, Deborah Braunert, over what it says is the involvement of British specialists in a Ukrainian drone strike on its Black Sea fleet in Crimea, the foreign ministry says. Russia suspended participation in a UN-brokered Black Sea grain initiative on Saturday after what it said was a major drone attack on vessels in the Bay of Sevastopol on the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia annexed from Ukraine in 2014. Russia's defense ministry said the attack was carried out under the guidance and leadership of British Navy specialists, an assertion Britain has dismissed as false. These actions were carried out under the guidance of British specialists, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told reporters. 6:46 p.m. Poland will build a razor wire fence on its border with Russia's Kaliningrad, its defense minister says, amid concerns that the enclave might become a conduit for illegal migration. Construction of the temporary 2.5-meter-high and 3-meter-deep barrier will start immediately, Mariusz Blaszczak told a news conference. With tensions rising due to the war in Ukraine, he cited security concerns and referred to a crisis triggered last autumn when thousands of African and Middle Eastern migrants tried to cross the Belarus border into Poland, some of whom died. 12:10 a.m. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has spoken with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on the situation in the Black Sea, where Moscow has halted participation in a United Nations brokered deal to ship grain to countries in need. Turkey, one of the parties to the July agreement, is working with all sides to solve problems with the export initiative, Erdogan tells Putin in a phone call. Resolving the grain crisis could encourage steps toward other negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, Turkey's Anadolu agency reports Erdogan as saying. Erdogan's call is the latest international attempt to keep the grain initiative alive. Russia said over the weekend that it would stop participating, after accusing Ukraine of attacking its Black Sea fleet. Tuesday, November 1, 9:55 p.m. Concrete steps need to be taken on the obstacles facing Russian grain and fertilizer exports, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu says, adding that the problems must be solved to sustain grain shipments under a Black Sea export deal. Cavusoglu said Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan would speak with the leaders of Russia and Ukraine in the coming days. Russia said that it was suspending its participation in the deal brokered in July by the United Nations and Turkey. 5:30 p.m. Russia fired 4 missiles into the southern Ukrainian port city of Mykolaiv overnight, demolishing half an apartment building and killing 1 resident, a day after it unleashed a barrage of missiles on several cities, including the capital, Kyiv. Rescue workers recovered the body of an elderly woman from the rubble of the apartment block early on Tuesday, Reuters witnesses said. 3:10 p.m. A fragile recovery in Russia's manufacturing sector slowed in October as sanctions combined with a mass call-up of workers to fight in Ukraine weighed on the country's producers, a business survey shows. The S&P Global Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, in October fell to 50.7 from 52 in September, slipping closer to the 50 to 50 line that separates expansion from contraction. Employment levels in the manufacturing sector fell at their fastest rate in 6 months, the survey found. Over the past 5 weeks, some 300,000 reservists, mostly young, working men, have been drafted for duty in Ukraine. 3:02 p.m. Russian installed officials in Ukraine's southern Kherson region said on Monday evening they were extending an evacuation zone further from the Dnipro River, saying Ukraine could be preparing to attack the Kakhovka Dam and flood the region. In a post on Telegram, Vladimir Saldo, the Russian-backed head of the region, which is partially occupied by Russian forces, said he was extending the area covered by an order for civilians to evacuate by an additional 15 kilometers to include another 7 settlements. 8 a.m. President Vladimir Putin says Russian strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure and a decision to freeze participation in a Black Sea grain export program were responses to a drone attack on Moscow's fleet in Crimea that he blamed on Ukraine. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.